Hi, hello, welcome to this channel. Here I do tarot readings and reiki, all with the intention of just giving you any sort of support on your spiritual journey. And so this reading is going to be healing messages from the past. So anything that you may be kind of holding on to, or that might be lingering on your mind, or anything like that, just some sort of messages that might help you move forward or release, or just kind of help give you some sort of a closure. Okay, so let's see what comes up. I always start with what I intend the reading to be, and then it kind of veers off track sometimes. And I'm totally fine with that because I just want to be a channel, or I am a channel for whatever needs to be heard to come through. So that's my intention. We'll see what comes out here. But yeah, this should be just kind of just healing messages to help you release, get some sort of closure and things like that. If that interests you, feel free to stay here and let's get started. Ooh, wow. First thing out is the Sun card, you guys. Heck yeah. First thing out is the Sun card. I'm going to keep going real quick, though. I'm going to pull. Okay. Okay. And we got the Wheel of Fortune. So we got the Sun card that came out. Hold on. I want to pull this one as well because I feel like this is going to be very powerful. Service. Okay. I was not expecting that. Service. You stop using the universe to try to get what you want and start asking love to use you. You offer all and want to be of service. Ironically, many desires become fulfilled without grasping or manipulation. Okay, so what this is talking about is as you are generous and loving and helpful towards others, or doing meaningful work, fulfilling work, just things like that that impact others, the way that if you contribute to the lives of others in any kind of way, it doesn't have to be like it can be any way that you want it to be, but even just like donations, like when you shop at the Goodwill or something, they ask if you want to round up for education or some stuff like that. Like it could be like, you know what, I don't normally round up, I don't normally tip, but I'm gonna do that for blah blah blah. So I don't know. Ultimately, this card is really talking about getting fulfillment by doing things that help others in some sort of way. Okay. And if we look at the Sun card here, there are two people playing the banjo or a guitar, or whatever instrument it is, but they're playing it together. And so honestly, a message is coming through of, we're not here to live our lives alone. And, it's totally fine to be alone and, build an empire or just kind of keep to yourself. That's fine. You live life how you want to. But there is a message of sharing light, sharing love, sharing generosity, and that also kind of being fulfilling for you and not just the person on the receiving end. Really quick, I do have a message coming through for somebody who may be working in the I feel like they have a cups job, and when I say cups, it could be like caregiver, nurse, something where it's your job to actually take care of somebody else. But hold on, there's a message of that's for some of you, but this message applies to it can apply to everyone. But basically, there's a message of if it's challenging for you to receive acknowledgement, to receive gratitude, thank yous, compliments, things like that, that's coming through of just kind of being like an imbalance for you. Where it's like you might like to serve others and help others, but it might be challenging for you to receive their gratitude. And so I used to struggle with that. And this guy told me, he said, that what he realized was when he denied people's compliments or shrugged off their thank yous, shrugged off their gratitude, that he was denying them the same joy that he gets from helping them. He was denying them the joy of giving their gratitude. And so basically, it wasn't a two-way street, or it wasn't mutual, because he was kind of doing the service, but like not allowing the gratitude to flow and the person to really like express their gratitude. So that's a message coming through for somebody of like, being open to receive recognition for the things that you're doing, for the love that you're doing, your work, your generosity, just being able to receive acknowledgement and gratitude for that. That way you're not kind of cutting off the flow of expression. So that just came through. Okay, let's move on. Okay, we have the Ace of Pentacles here. There's a message of being lucky or having an opportunity. Of course, the Ace of Pentacles is like the start of something grounding, so a relationship, a job, some sort of plan, but it's an earthly thing. But I'm primarily drawn to the cricket here on top, which crickets symbolize like luck, and so opportunity, right? And then we also have Wheel of Fortune at the back of the deck here, and then we have Three of Pentacles underneath that. Okay, so I do feel like if you're asking about something in particular, about a new relationship or a new opportunity, I feel like it's something good for you. I feel like somebody here might be asking a question of should I or shouldn't I, or is this worth my time, is this worth but as we can see, we've got the Wheel of Fortune, and we have the Three of Wands here, or not Three of Wands, Three of Pentacles. So yeah, this is kind of telling me that you might be asking a question of, okay, is this worth my energy? Is this worth my love? Is this worth, and honestly, hold on, it can be something. So with the Wheel of Fortune and the Three of Pentacles, if you look at the one that he's watering, hold on, there you go. If you look at the one that he's watering, this one has more growth, that has medium growth, that has little growth. So the one that he's actually watering in the picture is like, it almost seems like it's not growing as well as the others, or it's not taking off as well as the others. And so again, with this Wheel of Fortune, it's kind of like, well, is it worth me putting extra effort into this for it to, if I don't know if it's going to grow well or not, right? So let's elaborate on that. Okay, we got calmness. What else? And we got righteousness. Okay, so I feel like it's kind of, so let's start with the righteousness. I feel like you've got the number 5 here. You got 3 and 2 at the bottom. Together, that's 5. Okay. And you also had 3 for the Three of Pentacles. But the 5 here is a number of change, which you also had with the Wheel of Fortune. Okay. But I feel like what this is saying is, if you're asking this sort of question, that leaning into what you feel is right will help you with your decision, okay? Because we do have the card of righteousness and 5 for change. So it could be that you might have to, honestly, I feel like you might have to change up your strategy or your plan, because it's like, if you continuously, hold on, if you stand here and water this plant and it's not growing, so you give it more water, you give it less water or whatever, and you're trying to like, you're just giving them the same thing. Well, maybe it's like, well, maybe water isn't the problem. Maybe it needs more sunlight. Maybe it doesn't like the position that it's in and it needs to move to a different part, or, I don't know. But basically what I'm trying to say is, like, if you've been trying to go at something a certain way, it could be that thinking outside of the box can help you. And also, yeah, thinking outside the box can kind of give you insight into what actually can help start to get this thing to come off of the ground, or grow a little bit better. Um, so that's what I'm picking up with that. Also, you have the card calmness. So you got the inner divine is the witness of all, remaining still and quiet even during intense turbulence. So take a deep breath and then say, quiet my mind, dear Lord, may your peaceful calm take over. Okay. So that was for somebody. All right, the last card we got here is we got the Ace of Cups. Wonderful. What do we have going on here? Ace of Cups. Okay, so I'm getting a song. It's I'm trying to remember what it's about. Take me to a better place where I embrace your soul that set me free. Go on. This is about like freedom of the soul. Well, hold on. Let me tell you the song so you can kind of look it up and get the lyrics yourself. It's Andy Cizek, and the song is called "The Current." And they were showing me the image of like somebody out in the rain and just kind of like singing their heart out, or just kind of, yeah, really either singing their heart out or just screaming or just kind of using their voice out into like the void. And so, yeah, they just showed me this image of but basically to me, they're showing me somebody who is expressing themselves and literally just kind of dumping everything out through their voice, through their body. This is equivalent to, I had somebody tell me that they just felt like screaming. And they were like, oh, but I can't. And I was like, yes, you can. And I was like, I scream in my car sometimes. Like, go in a parking lot and park somewhere away from the building if you want to and just scream in your car. And sometimes I scream while I'm driving, or you know what I mean? So I'm like, yeah, you can do that. But anyways, yeah, that's what I was getting from the image and from the song. Somebody just really needs like this deep release from their body. Okay, so let's get into the cards here. We've got companionship. When you finally bless and embrace your aloneness, you're ready for the ones who are meant to be with you. May I welcome this solitude, knowing it will open the way for all healthy relationships. Okay, so somebody here is tired of being alone. You could be asking a question of like, why? Why do I have to constantly be alone? There's somebody here who is, you could have strong Scorpio in your chart. You don't have to, but you could be somebody who is basically like not a karmic, but somebody that enters people's lives to help them grow and develop, and then they end up leaving, right? Because they come to you, learn what they need to learn, you both do, and then you separate. And so I feel like somebody here is kind of like, why me? Why do I have to be what is the word? Why do I have to be the catalyst for others? Why do I have to be, their light or their, I don't want to say stepping stone, but that might be what you're thinking. Like you feel like you're a stepping stone for people. And so like you feel like you make good connections, or that you really have deep love for people, but then they end up leaving. So this card is talking about, let's read it again. It says, when you fully bless and embrace your aloneness, you're ready for the ones who are meant to be with you. May I welcome this solitude, knowing it will open the way for all healthy relationships. Okay, what else is that? Faith and wisdom. We got Isis. Yeah, there's definitely like, obviously you have the number 7, which is a lucky number. But you have Mother Osset, faith and wisdom here. And also, There's an instrument for singing. But anyway, she's a fertility goddess, and she's also a sorceress. She's very knowledgeable, and and so I feel like this here, I feel like you could be going through a very deep spiritual connection or realization. And that's why this companionship card is coming through, because you're sitting here questioning, like, okay, like I said, why me? Why does this always happens to me? Why am I always attracting these people? Or why does nothing ever work out? And it's really like building you up. We got Isis, Mother Aset coming through, building you up and saying, like, yes, this is kind of an evolution for you, and you have been called to do this work. It's really hard, like, keeping your heart open, but the heart is the greatest gift. We also have gratitude here at the end of the deck, at the end of this deck. And so it's like, when we experience things in life, we can become closed off because we don't want to hurt, we don't want to feel things. And so it can be easier to be like, you know what, I don't want to experience love, or I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to put myself out there. But, it's a gift of really learning to master the heart space, and to, like, not try to control who we love, what we love. And I'm not saying, like, boundaries aren't important or anything. I'm definitely not saying that. I always preach about boundaries. But it's more about, when we get hurt, we start to try to control because we don't want to. We don't want to be hurt again. But there's this element here of just kind of like learning about yourself, and what you're capable of, and how powerful you can be, how powerful your love is. And then also, because even in this companionship card, so the Ace of Cups also can symbolize, to me, it's the card of self-love because it's one ace. It can also symbolize, the start of a new relationship, or a friendship, or, or a passion, something like that. It's ultimately something you love. But to me, primarily, when they give me this card, it's mostly about self-love, because that's the way that I perceive it. And so there's this element here of giving back to the self. If you look at this rain here, and also the image that I received earlier of somebody really just needing to express themselves and pour something out, I feel like you've been holding on to a lot of your thoughts and a lot of your feelings regarding that. Yeah, that makes sense now. It's starting to make sense. Hold on. So if you are sitting here in this rut of, why me, I don't want to do this anymore, or whatever, it could be helpful for you to just go outside, scream, sit in the car, scream, sit in the rain and sing your heart out, really have these deep expressions out, getting them out of your body. Or you can also take this route here, the gratitude route, where it says, find just one thing you feel grateful for right now, and let that gratitude pour through your body. It's a healing balm like the warmth of the sun. Okay, so there are things to be grateful for. So, like, if you experience, hardship with a relationship, the release of a relationship, heartbreak of a relationship, things like that, there are takeaways that you can learn from it. Mother Aset is coming through saying there's always something you can learn. There's always something you can take away. There's always gratitude to be had in the experience. Okay, if it was a roller coaster, okay, I'm grateful for the good moments. Okay, I'm grateful that, this person showed me their true self, because now I know that it wasn't for me. Okay, I'm grateful for the time when this happened, or I'm grateful that I was able to say no. I'm grateful that something like that. So there's always something to learn. And I feel like that's a heavy message that's coming through here with the Ace of Cups. All right, let's go ahead and just get a little bit more here. All right, go ahead. I'm being drawn to the Eye of Ra. the eye of Ra is the right eye. The right eye symbolizes is similar to the right hand, which is, action based, earthly things, and the left is more insight, perspective, imaginative. So anyway, I'm drawn to the right eye of Ra. So I'm not sure if you have a tattoo of that, somebody you know has a tattoo of that, you're interested in that, something with the right eye of Ra. But it could also be that you are what? That you're sitting on some sort of decision regarding taking action around something. We also did just pull the Eight of Wands, which is the movement card of something moving quickly. What do you want to say with the Eight of Wands? There's some sort of shift that's happening quickly in the earthly plane for you. Okay, what is it? Forgiveness. Okay, so it's almost like you're getting into situations, like you might not be doing it intentionally. Creation. I feel like maybe your spiritual team, your guides, or you're in situations that are prompting you to practice forgiveness, or you're reaching a point where it's almost like you're bubbling up and it's almost like you don't know what to do, and they're trying to tell you, like, if you can forgive yourself, forgive the situation, or forgive the person. You don't have to. However, that is a space or a tool that can allow healing to begin for the situation. But with the Eight of Wands here and then the forgiveness card, it almost feels like, yeah, you're moving towards that. You're getting to a space where you're starting to, like, you might get the idea or feel like drawn to releasing. But it could be, my original feeling is that you're drawn to possibly other situations that allow you to practice forgiveness. So it's almost like you have like this big situation, memory, or something like that, but there's other smaller situations where you're being able to practice forgiveness. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. So maybe you have like some sort of relationship that is like a wound for you, but you've been able to forgive, like, oh, this person messed up my order at Starbucks, or this person disrespected me, and I don't play that, but you know what, I'm gonna let it go and I'm gonna forgive them because they could have been having a bad day, blah blah blah, whatever, right? So it's almost like you have different scenarios where you're able to practice forgiveness to help kind of build you up to this bigger thing that's kind of looming over you a little bit. So it says forgiveness. Healing comes from acceptance. Help me, dear Lord, to fully accept what is, knowing that this alone will open me up to the new. Okay? And then you also have number 2, Moon Ra, creation. This is the singing tool. But why do I keep saying singing? It's more of like a frequency tool. So they hold that. If you see that, it's an ancient technology, and it has to do with frequency. So Amun Ra, he's holding that, sitting that on the throne. This is a pharaoh at that time. And he also has the Ankh here as well, protection of the divine feminine and masculine coming together. So it's almost like he's kind of giving emperor energy, where it's like he's got the tools for success. He's sitting on top of the throne. He has what he needs. And he's at a frequency where, one, he can sit on the throne, and that has acquired these tools. So when you have, okay, they're saying knowledge is power. And then we had Mother Aset coming through with wisdom, and I believe it's power on that card as well. Um, but anyway, so basically, he's kind of coming through and saying, like, what you learn is a way to empower yourself to get to sit on top of the throne. So it's like when you take in information, instead of like, throwing it to the side, being defensive, being negative about the experience, the situation, things like that. If you can find some sort of gratitude, find some sort of way to accept and release, and all the things that people preach about. I hate to say it, but it's true. Once you kind of practice these kind of tools, then you're sitting on top of the throne and you're unbothered. You're able to create at the frequency that is needed to create what you want to. So it's almost like the fact that he has this and the Ankh, it makes him more powerful. He's vibrating at a higher frequency, higher vibration, right? So without these things, he's kind of just, he's him, but he might not have the tools that he needs to hold his I don't want to say power, but his position or his place in the world, or you know what I mean? So basically just kind of like try to have the mindset of acquiring information, acquiring knowledge, and practicing those kinds of tools of forgiveness, acceptance, releasing, not really trying to hold on and control things. And it makes you more powerful. It makes you more, enhances your ability to create actually what you want to. And that makes sense, because if you're holding on to something, then how can you create with something that wants to leave you, right? Like, I mean, I'm trying to say it respectfully, but think about it. If you're holding on to somebody's hand and they don't want to be there, or they just have no more, it's not time, it's not aligned anymore. You're holding on to something, somebody, a situation that's no longer aligned, then you can't shift your head to the right and be like, oh, there's space over here for me to create this chair, or create this mountain, create this foundation, right? So, because your attention is not in the right position. So, and then also, something that just caught my attention, he's looking forward. He's looking forward in his chair. You know what I mean? He's not looking behind him, behind the chair. So, I don't know. I'm trying to say it as respectfully as possible, because I don't want to diminish, your feelings around what you're experiencing. It could be pretty tragic. I have no idea. I didn't read that deep into it, but, these are just meant to kind of help you move forward, or kind of, and if they help, then I'm grateful for that. So let's give you just one more message here, because I love doing readings, but I also don't really control what comes out, and I don't want to hammer healing into you guys. Heal, hurry up. I don't want it to sound like that. But what else? Come on. Oops. Oh, we got a few things, and I'm going to read all of them because I like this deck. So we've got impatience. I'm just going to read it. My life is unfolding in divine timing. All delays are beneficial. I'm always at the right place at the right time. And honestly, this last part is something I say to myself every day, every single day, because I struggle with this too. So I'm always at the right place at the right time. And you might even want to add, what is meant for me finds me. Okay. Doubt. Offering all to the divine doesn't mean negativity never arises, but you can say, free me from this prison of doubt. I cast this burden to you. Show me your will and restore me to faith and confidence. Heck yeah. Health. Allow me, divine, to be tender and accepting of my body, no matter what ailments I may have. May I always know it's doing the best that it can. Help me be a loving ally and friend to this sacred form.
That's right. See, such beautiful words.
I just want to remind you guys really quickly, the very first card we got was the sun. Okay, so there's always some, first of all, the sun is always shining somewhere, even if you can't see it. It's the same with the mindset, you know what I mean? Same with gratitude, but in a literal sense, the sun is always shining somewhere. So, I don't know, I hope that gives you a little bit of inspiration. I hope maybe it was able, if you had a question, it was able to be answered. If not, that's okay, maybe in another video. But I hope that you're able to get a message of love here that was helpful for you. So thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for making it to the end if you did. And good luck on your journey.